Hello and welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta, and of course, the lovely Jen is back. I should just let you introduce yourself at this point.
I like
It's,
when you introduce me, though. You always call me lovely.
I mean, you are. So, and the universe apparently was telling us we'll just talk about today. So, we're going to talk about trying to find friends as an adult. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As an adult woman, especially, women
There you go.
are an interesting species. I feel like men can still make friends like how they do on the playground. Like, hey, do you like football? I like football. You want to be friends? Okay, let's go to a football. Like, I think that's like so easy for them to do that. They find one common thing or like, hey, you want to have beers on Friday? Great. That's my friend now. Where girls, I feel like women are so much more in depth. And when you're an adult, at least in my experience, right now, you chime in, but my experience is like as an adult, you bring in kind of all of these experiences, right? And
Yep.
so you grow and evolve and find your identity, and then you have this motherhood, and then finding yourself again, and that there's always ebbs and flows. But I feel like as an adult woman, it's really difficult to find a trustworthy friend, like that friend that some people are blessed with friends since they were kindergarten, and that's kind of their circle. I've had many eras of life, so I always say I collect friends in every
Mm-hmm.
era of my life. And I've found now, being almost 50, that I've collected in like the best friend in every era of my life. And that's kind of my
Mm-hmm.
circle of friends. And I feel like I just don't tolerate a lot of shit as now as an adult. And I think that takes a
Facts.
toll
Facts.
on friendships, right? So,
Yes. I think the other thing is, at least that I've run into, is some people just don't grow with you.
mhm,
Um, I
amen
always
to
thought there
that.
were certain friends that I would have forever, and we're not friends anymore. And I mean, no shade to anybody. It just we just outgrew each other. Like we weren't on the same. And I'm not saying we have to be the same, but like we have to at least kind of be
But
cohesive.
there's a level of growth that happens as you mature. And I feel like some
Yeah.
people aren't willing to do the work to mature. It's hard sometimes, or you're going in different paths that are so different. Um, but who's what I find too is, and this is coming from therapy as well, is that as an adult, you start setting boundaries that you don't know how to set when you're younger, right?
Yes.
And so when you start setting those boundaries, like self-perseverance and these boundaries, the people that have an issue with it are always the ones that are pushing your boundaries. And that's
Yes.
uncomfortable for them. So now you've created an uncomfortable situation. And then their true colors come out where it's like, it was this friendship was for me, like on their end, like I was being selfishly comfortable with you telling
Mm-hmm.
me you're uncomfortable with this is not going to work for me anymore because my well-being wasn't a part of their friendship. It was
Yes.
all about what was easy for them, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that also crosses the path of and I've dealt with it, I'm sure you have too, that for certain people, unless you're close proximity, they aren't able to maintain a friendship. So like as I've
Yes.
moved multiple times throughout my life because I am married to somebody who's in the military, some people will keep in touch with you, of course, but there's a lot of people that like I was super tight with when like I was in Hawaii, for example. Haven't heard a peep since I left. Like
Yeah.
some people just, I guess, don't have the ability that if you're not close proximity, like it's too hard. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. I call those friends convenience friends. So you have convenience friends and you have friends of depth that's what I always tell my kids and like my motto. So your convenience friends, and that's okay. We need convenience friends, right? Because we need friends that are going to get us through seasons. And for whatever reason, we were supposed to be part of their life for that season. And then when like you said, it gets hard or work has to be put into it, it's no longer easy or you don't have a common something, right? So I find that in dance a lot. I have a lot of dance mom friends. We go to competitions, we go travel, things like that. When I no longer was traveling or I was pulling back and I was focusing on other things, there's just people who aren't going to put forth the effort. no matter how
Mhm.
many times I invite you out, no matter how many times I try and connect with you. And sometimes it's circumstantial. Sometimes it's like, look, we are just, our schedules are not co
Yeah.
like collaborating, and it is what it is. No hard feelings. There's no, like you said, no shade. It just kind of grows with that. But I think as adult women, we are learning when you mature that that's just what it is. My family comes first, my kids come first, my whatever is happening comes first. And I feel like there needs to be more of like, let's just understand that as women, instead
Mhm.
of this kind of middle school mentality of like, well, you didn't show up to the party, so we're not your friend anymore, or you can't hang out and we're not your friend anymore. So, well, I don't understand how that comes into an adult, and I honestly was not prepared for that going in as an adult woman. Like, I was like, these are mature women, like it's gonna be fine. Like, we're gonna have conversations, and that's not happening
No,
across
it's
the board.
not. And I feel like it was, like you said, it was easy for me when I was a kid, but even
Hmm.
in like middle school, um, junior high, high school. High school wasn't too bad, but like I struggled a lot in elementary school even cuz like kids were just mean for like
Oh
no
yeah.
reason. And I
Yes.
was such a soft-spoken only child that I was like, "Oh, well, I just want friends, so I guess I'll tolerate this." Which then
Yeah.
translates into what you talked to about as an adult. So as an adult, for a long time I was just like, "Oh, I have a friend. It doesn't matter how they treat me." And
Right.
then when you're like, "No, I'm not doing this anymore," then the person is like, "Well, you're the crappy one because now you're wanting to cut me off after we've been for 8 years." And it's like, "But that was never a friendship. You
Right.
were using me, or I was, like you said, I was convenient, or I was just somebody to watch your kids," whatever it was.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
Yes.
that's not a friendship.
That's a good point. That's a good segue into what I was wanted to bring up is like you become service friends too, right? As an
Yes.
adult. Like my daughter's kind of feeling it a little bit now. I think once she got her driver's license. And so she was the first one to get her driver's license out of her group, right? So we're kind
Mhm.
of talking about that where all of a sudden all these people want to hang out with her all the time. And I was like, of course, because you can drive them. And
Mhm.
and are they putting up for gas, are they, and she's like, yeah, I just kind of want to stay home. And then they get upset that I don't want to go out, and I was like, because they don't have a ride now. And I was
Right.
like, so you just have to clock that. I always tell her, you gotta
Mhm.
just understand that, like, you no need to be mad about it. I wouldn't even put effort to be upset about it, as long as you I always talk about speaking your truth, right? And I think it's hard that when we speak and stand in our truth and people have a problem with it, we second guess it, right? Look, I
Yeah.
don't want to go to dinner tonight. I'm tired. Like, that's
Mhm.
all it is. That should be enough. There
Yeah.
shouldn't be like, and I'm sure that you've experienced this where you feel like, shoot, I got to make up an excuse of like why I can't go tonight because I just don't feel like it. Because telling them I just don't feel like it doesn't, like, and most people won't accept it,
Yeah, I used
and
to be
that's,
like that until I saw,
yeah,
I don't know if you've ever seen Tabitha Brown, which she's gotten really, really, really
yes.
popular now. She was one of the first people when I was an adult that was like, "No" is a complete sentence, and I was like,
Hmm.
"Yes, girl. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes."
and when you get to that point, that's what I have found as an adult is like when I've gotten to that point where it's like, no, I just don't want to go. Like, and it's not like I don't want to be with you ever. I just tonight I don't want to go.
Yeah,
And
tonight I don't want to.
all of a sudden it's offensive. So I've learned to kind of monitor like who did when I do things like that and who is kind of like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. And those are the people that I know will come along with me on my journey because they are a complete self, right? So
Yes.
I think people that even with friendships, just like relationships, you don't want to get into a relationship where you are the one saving the person, where you are the only one putting forth effort. That's the same with friendships, right? Is that, and we kind of push that to the side because we don't think, oh well, it's not a relationship, right? But it is.
Mhm.
It's a different
Yeah.
type of
It's just
relationship.
a different type of relationship. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And something that I've really discovered in the last couple years, even still learning and growing, is when my dad got sick and you start going through a hard season, you really start to figure out who your true people are.
Yes.
Because um things first started to go downhill, there was maybe 3 or 4 people that would ask how he was out of
Right.
all the people that I knew. And I'm like, really? Really? This is where
And
we're at.
they're very aware of the struggle you're going through, and then you see who shows up in those moments where you can't be the fun, you can't be the,
Mm-hmm.
happy, you can't pour into them, right? And those
Yes.
are the ones where it's like, okay, I was only there to service you, I was building you up, and when my time is coming, you're not there for me. Okay, so I'm gonna have to let that go,
Yep.
and then that's where it's almost like I always tell my daughter, if you're always the one texting people, if you're always the one kind of making the plans and texting people, just note that. Like, is anybody else kind of inviting you out? Do they get together without you? That kind of stuff. Because if it's a one side deal, it's exhausting. It gets really
Yes.
exhausting really fast. And I honestly like did not expect that when I got into friendships as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
because high school wasn't too bad, but elementary, Chicago to California, between sixth and seventh grade. So I started seventh grade in California, and California is a complete culture shock for someone that I only grew up in Chicago, right? And then we
Mm-hmm.
traveled a little bit, but I didn't really spend a lot of time at that point, in anywhere besides the Philippines and Chicago. And so they getting to California was a totally different culture. Like, it was like the surf culture. They were very laid back and, a little more materialistic than I had grown up with. I was in Southern California near LA. And so, early 90s, and it was rough kind of going through that. And I was always a thicker girl. So the first thing anybody ever says, to bully me, is that I was fat, right? From the time I was in kindergarten, I was always a thick girl. And so you almost become numb to it
Mm-hmm.
at a point, because it's like, okay, well, that's all you got. Like, I've already heard that, been there, done that. But
Right.
to be, in the lower grades, it was like some people would make it their life mission every day just to make you miserable. Like,
Mm-hmm.
your bully would just to make you miserable, and they enjoyed it. I did not expect to see that in adult women when I
No,
started,
same.
right? And then that was like a shocker to me, that people will really go out of your way to, like, sour your name, to make things inconvenience for you, to, like, just make you uncomfortable, because they're so miserable in their life. And
Yep.
then that was the thing, is that I had to accept the fact that it wasn't me, that it was their own misery
Yes.
kind of do that. And that was a long time in therapy
Yeah.
to accept that. You know?
That and a good point that I also got from a friend. I had joined a group of like really people working together to become better people, to try to be a better person every
Nice.
day.
Okay.
And one of the things that the gal that leads the group taught us was like, a lot of times you get disappointed, right, in friends and relationships. And she's like, you have to think about it is, are you putting your expectations on them? Because
Mhm.
they're not going to be following your expectations. They're going to be following whatever is normal to them. I'm like,
Right.
obviously, I'm not saying you should be letting people never
Walk all over
respond to you
you.
and never call you and walk
Sure.
all over you. But there is a lot of times, and I know I was doing it, where I was putting my expectations on other people. Where like, I don't know, it was somebody's birthday, so I'm like, I'm gonna send them flowers and a card because like that's just the kind of person I am. But then if they didn't do it to me, I'm like, well, why didn't they? That's because I'm expecting them to treat
Mm.
me like I would
How
treat
you
me.
Yeah. Interesting. That I could see that a lot in relationships.
Yeah, and just because
But
they're not doesn't necessarily mean they're not a good friend. They just have a different love language or they have a different way
yes,
of communicating.
yes,
So not necessarily are all those people that are being different are being bad, but obviously you got to find that line between like the people that are being like extreme, narcissists, for example, versus just they have a different way of expressing.
right, right. Well, and if their intentions come with kindness and love, you could feel that, rather it coming with malice and
Yes.
vindictiveness, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And then did you find, like, what changed for you? When was it like, okay, look, I'm going to set up my boundaries, and that's just what it's going to be, and the people that fall into this category will fall into this category with me? Was there like a significant turn for you?
I feel like I've gone through several. turns. I'm sure you probably have too,
Yeah.
especially, as we take on new decades. I just turned 40 this year, and I try to be better every day. Am I always? Absolutely not, but I try. I try to be
Yeah.
better in some way, shape, or form every day. And after I had a pretty big crash out on TikTok and left and joined that group, I
Hmm.
really learned how to not only set boundaries, but to trust my intuition. Because I've
Mm.
every time that I've gotten in trouble or something icky has happened, it's because I didn't trust my intuition.
Mm.
But I think it was harder for me because I was struggling between telling what was my intuition and what was my anxiety. Like,
Ah,
is this my
yes.
anxiety trying to just get me stay home, or is this my intuition being like, no, bitch, don't go there? And I had a guest in this podcast, so some of y'all will remember. And she talked about that your intuition is not loud. And like when she talked about it, it really hit home because she said like your intuition would just say something like, "Don't go there, don't touch that, don't do that,"
Mm.
and it's not loud. And when she talked about that, that really hit home for me. That I was like, "Oh, okay, that's how I can
That's the
tell the
voice
difference
I should be listening
between
to.
anxiety and intuition."
Ah, yeah. I mean, that's what I was going to say. Like sometimes when I have like a big fallout or whatnot, then I have like a paranoia, right? So all of a
Mhm.
sudden, everyone and I'm finding it too. I'm trying to stable myself and censor myself because I'm, prepping my daughter to be on her own, right? In
Right.
California and in LA, right? So like she grew up in Hawaii and living here, it's a very different culture. It's very homey, family.
Mhm.
Most people here have really good intent, right? If they
Yes.
are bringing you, food from a neighbor, it's really just because they had extra food and they are want to
Yes.
share with you, right? Where I'm trying to explain to her that's not going to be the case where you're going. And like as I'm talking, I'm just like, God, I'm making people sound like so horrible. Like she's gonna be like, so finally we were having this discussion. She's like, you know what? I'm just not gonna make any friends while I'm there. She was like, I'm just gonna go to my program. Not That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, just be mindful. Like everyone that smiles in your face is not going to be your friend, right? And
Yeah.
listen to. So that's a good advice to give her is that listen to that voice, that intuition. Your gut is going to tell you like, is this person good for me or not?
Yeah,
Now,
she can even listen to her name is Tavia. Tavia's amazing.
Tavia.
Tavia's
Okay.
Tavia's episode on here where she talks about it. Her episode is a beautiful episode, so she can even listen to that. But yeah,
All
that
right. I'll send
it's
it to
funny.
her.
It's funny how just certain ways people word things just like hit with you and that light bulb goes on and you're like, "Ugh,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
okay.
gonna carry with me now all the time. I'm gonna be like, okay, my intuition is not
Yeah,
loud.
you're gonna be
Got it.
going to get into the car and you're all of a sudden you're just gonna hear, don't do it. You're gonna be like,
Oh, you're
okay.
right. Okay,
I'm
yes.
going back inside.
Okay, I'm gonna go put my pajamas on. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, do you find now this is what I've experienced too? Because I feel like you're like me. You probably have friends of all walks of life, right? You're
Hmm.
easy to talk to,
Absolutely.
that kind of stuff. Do you find that you have one friend group getting jealous of the other friend group or having a hard time meshing those? Let's say you join a mom's club and then you have your work friends, right? um, do you ever cross over? Do your friends ever cross over
I
in
don't.
those groups?
No, not so much for me. Now that I think now that I have really good boundaries and I've really found my good group of people,
That's good.
that there's not really like there might be jokingly like, who are you on the phone with? But
Right,
it's
right,
not.
right.
But it's not really like, who are you on the phone with? You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, yeah,
So not
yeah,
usually. I mean, a couple years ago, probably, but I've just I've really tried to surround myself with people that have I'm trying to think what word I want to use that are just beautiful, loving, kind people
yes, yes.
that just
And
don't take the world for granted because there's a lot of people that get stuck in the muck is what I call it. Like
mhm,
the victim mentality. I was stuck there for a long time myself. I was the queen of victim mentality for a long time until I got myself out of it. And now I see people in it and I'm like, oh, honey, oh, girl, let me
That's a
help
good
you.
point.
And I think that's
Yeah,
why some people do get jealous is because they're in that victim mentality and they're looking for any reason to be like, Jen's talking to somebody else, so now I'm the victim and look, she doesn't love me anymore. And then you're going to be like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
and then they get your attention back, right?
Right, right. Yeah, I am the queen of attracting that kind of friend. I ever since I was small, because and I swear my best friends. So I have three best friends that I've known since kindergarten. Right,
Aw.
my aunt was our room mother. We just kind of through life have just kept in touch. And like I said, I collected friends along my way. Right, so they
Mm-hmm.
were my first kind of like good core group of friends. And as I've grown older, they have my friendships have crossed over because those best friends from every season I've kind of brought together. And like you said, you have this type of person that you enjoy keeping around you that is positive, that is healthy for you. And because you have that kind of person around you, when you bring them all together, they're all kind of meshing well together because it's the same type of person, right? They're
Right,
all
right, right.
kind and loving and stuff. So that's how I know like who is gonna stay with me. But they'll be the first to be like, you're so nice and kind and you give so much to people that they want to keep you like a pet. They want like you're
Mm-hmm.
mine. Like I want to keep you. And all through my life, like in college, I had a college roommate, and I God love her. Kalia, if you're watching this, I love you to death. But man, she just wanted to have me all to my herself all the time. Like she would be like, "Where's Jen? What is Jen doing? What's she?" And now, as an adult woman, I'm like, she just really loved me and didn't know how to
Mm-hmm.
express it in like the most healthiest way. So she attached herself to
Yeah.
me. And for a long time it was just us. And then when other people started coming around that maybe she didn't mesh well, or those people, what I see a lot of for me is because I'm that person who's always kind of like putting myself in other people's shoes, right? And I'll
Mm-hmm.
be the first one to be like, if they're products of their environment, so I'm trying to understand where they're coming from, and I'm just getting to the era where I'm like, no, okay, I can cut you off and not feel guilty about this because it's not servicing me, right? And I'm
Right.
just like, I'm really like just at the forefront of that. But for a long time, I'm just always trying to see like how people's point of view, right? And I would have friends, like my good friends, like my three from kindergarten, would be like, they're using you, stop talking to them, what are you doing, like, but we've been here forever, like we love you. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, you don't understand, like she's been through this, and I'm just trying
Mm-hmm.
to be a person there. And my one friend finally told me, she was like, why does it always have to be you? Like, why do you feel like you're always the one that's put in their life to save them? She was like,
Yes.
she was like, honey, you're not Jesus. Okay. And I don't care what you think, but you are not Jesus, girl. Like, and I was like, that's when it hit me with like, oh yeah, I'm not trying to be Jesus. I'm just really, is that a Jesus complex? And so then I read about like the savior complex and the Jesus complex. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, yeah, I'm definitely checking all those boxes, which is why I feel so exhausted and depleted and
Yep.
whatnot.
Are
You
you an
know?
empath too?
Oh man, big time.
Yeah.
Big
See,
time.
I
Yeah.
had a feeling because I am too. And when you're younger or before you really understand, it's hard to know that not everything you're feeling is not your
Natural
energy.
energy. Yes.
There would be times I'd walk into a room and I'd be like, man, why do I all of a sudden feel like crap? And then later on, I'm like, so then I'd immediately, if I was going to stay, I'd be like, whose ever energy is this? I don't want it.
Right.
Take it back.
Yeah.
Go back to the person you came from.
Yeah. I know.
I,
I like
I
keep
don't
it.
want
Yeah.
it.
hmm I had to have my husband kind of pointed out to me. So we've been together for 13 years, and he's like, he's seen me have some friends that have done me dirty, really, really
Hmm.
dirty. And
My
um,
husband too.
and he's like, you put out so much, and and then of course he's a guy, so he wants to beat the shit out of them. And I'm like, no, I just
Like any
like
good husband.
right, right. And I'm just like, I don't understand. Like I was so good to them, blah blah. And so he's like, but he would tell me, what I noticed, um, when every time this kind of happened a couple times. He's like, all of the common denominator amongst those is every time you would hang out with this person, you came home exhausted. Like exhausted.
Mhm.
You would be like just having dinner, and all of a sudden you're taking a day and a half to recover from that dinner because of how much they dumped on you. And that's what you
Mhm.
were.
Dumped
You were
on
the
you and sucked out of you.
stocked of you. Yeah. So I wasn't getting enough friends that were pouring into me, right?
Mhm.
And I had to have my therapist, kind of point that out as well. Where and I was like, oh yeah. So I mean, me being an empath, I'm just taking it all in, and
Mhm.
those are the ones where you set these boundaries, and they're like, oh wait, you're taking away my dumping ground. Like, what am I supposed to do? I have to carry it by myself now. Like, you're so rude and how mean, like
Yep. And for anybody else out there that is an empath, whether you believe in the woo woo or whatever you believe in, do a cord cutting. It doesn't take long to do a cord cutting. It's a simple meditation where you just
yes,
cut off all the energy. You take your energy back, you give their energy back, and it's just a way to make sure you don't end up exhausted like Jen was just talking about.
yeah. Like, and I had to learn that. Like, I definitely do that and practice that ritual because it's man, you
Yeah.
have to do that.
I'm assuming
So,
you
do
probably
you?
do that and Ho'oponopono.
Oh yes, all the time. Yeah, Ho'oponopono is about bringing in your energy and like
Yes. And
giving gratefulness
forgiveness.
and forgiveness and living in a
Yes.
state of gratefulness.
I remember the first time I
Um,
did Ho'oponopono, I literally was in like tears like the entire time.
mhm. Oh yeah, and I mean I've done it multiple times. I've gone to like retreats and multiple, and it's like I'm always like releasing so much,
Oh
which
yeah.
it's a great release. It's amazing. And I mean, that kind of aligns back down. Now,
Yes.
do you find, okay, so now as adults, as women, and you meet women, do you find like sometimes you get into situations and you're like, man, I really like this person. Like, I really vibe with this person, but then you will talk yourself out of it because of past traumas with people similar?
Sometimes, yes. I've gotten pretty good at knowing right off the bat if somebody is not my cup of tea versus if they
Mm.
are. Like you, for example, I knew right away. I'm like, there's something about Jen, aside from the fact that we know that we were
We
friends
know
in a
we met
previous life
somewhere.
or we met somewhere. Like the
We're
moment I met
sisters in a
you,
previous life.
I was like, I know this girl. Like,
Yeah.
and the same thing happens, but just much like your security system, it's not perfect. It actually just happened to me probably about 2 weeks ago now. We made this little friend group of girls. We were all hanging out. We were talking on FaceTime. We were having a good time. And one of the girls in the group decided that she was going to go and say all this nasty crap about us just for
Yeah.
no reason. And usually I can spot somebody like that. Like I
Yeah.
know right off the bat, like, there's something off about this person. But like I said, it's not always 100%. But, it's another lesson of, okay, be careful,
Right.
listen to that intuition. If
Right.
something feels off, don't just trust this person or trust whatever person. But it's like, I mean, this is the whole reason we're talking about this. It's hard because you want to make friends, right? There's that inner
Yes.
child of you that just wants to
Yeah.
have
And I
friends
was an
and wants
only
to be
child too.
loved. Yes.
So, I mean, an only child and being in the house, like my cousins used to, I had cousins that I grew up, like I was with them. They're like, but you had your cousins. I was like, yes, but they had their house. So at
Right.
nighttime, at a certain point in the evening, and a certain point in the morning, I'm by myself. Like I don't have someone I can turn to and be like, hey, did you hear what mom and dad said? Like they would have
Hmm.
their kind of little girl talk. And I was just another mini adult in the house. That's what I felt like my whole life is I was just another mini adult. I was a part of conversations I shouldn't have been a part of. I was at places that I probably shouldn't have been, but I was the only kid and they
Hmm.
just toted me around like an accessory. And so, yeah, I have that need where it's like, I want a big family. I want a chosen family. I want, people that come together in community and are my village.
Yes. Yeah, you just want friends. So it's hard to meet that like child need and just that inner need of needing friends and support and people that love you and you love them around you and making sure that you find your right people. And
Right.
like we already talked about at the beginning, it's not necessarily shade towards any people, just certain people click and certain people
Yeah.
don't. And some people have good intentions and some people don't. And it's especially with, and I know narcissist is tossed around a lot nowadays, but it is very accurate in a lot of
It is.
situations. Like they're good at making you feel good and think, oh my God, I finally found this amazing friend, and then freaking running you over like a freight train
Yeah, quick
10 seconds
style
later.
too. Very quick style. Like, it's that love bombing. Narcissism loves
Yeah.
to love bomb you
Yeah.
when it's
Yeah.
convenient for them.
Yeah. And
You know, and
it's not just love relationships. It's
no.
friendships too.
Yes. Yeah, and all of a sudden you feel like you have this person that you just clicked with, and like we like the same things, and it's all grand and whatnot. And then it's like what we talked about, where there's a turn where, okay, I can't be that fun friend for you right now because I had a death in my family, or I'm just not. I'm dealing with my mental health right now, and to be that joyous person is taking a lot of work. I can't be
Yes.
that person, and they take it as a jab to them. Yeah, that because I'm suffering with my own stuff and it's not convenient for you, all of a sudden your downfall is my fault.
Right.
Because
Right.
yeah.
Have you seen the
And
TV show Tell Me Lies?
yes, oh my God, I'm watching it right now.
That is
Yeah, I
the
love it.
prime example of
Yes.
hard friendships, of hard relationships. It is the,
Mhm.
I've talked about this a couple times on different podcast episodes. It is the epitome of showing what a narcissist is capable of.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll always talk about too, like because I was an only child and I had so much trauma, kind of like the last part of my high school years, going into like adulthood, I was not prepared like for people to dislike me. Right? I was
Mhm.
not prepared. Like, does that make sense? I was not prepared of how I deal with that because um and then I just thought, well, if I'm nice to people, like they should just like me. Like why, like people will just find any reason not to like you. And that was a hard lesson to learn, like between 18 and 20, because I thought I had a good group of friends, right? And
Mhm.
then everything from you know uh dating a guy that maybe they wanted to date, or having a talent that maybe they wanted. And I get a lot of people that eventually tell me they were so jealous of just my persona, of how I
Mhm.
could walk into a room and just talk to anyone. And so they would label it as, you want attention so much. Like you always are the one
Yes.
that's getting all the attention. You're such an attention getter. And it,
Yes.
it took me a long
Or
time.
called
So
a
I was
flirt. I was
the
called a
flirt.
flirt with
Yes.
everybody, and I'm like, I'm just a nice
I'm
person.
just
Okay.
nice person. And I also cannot help how clothes look on me because I have boobs. I just like that was a lot of our conversations too in my 20s, where I was like, I was a thicker girl, but I was slimming out and my body was starting to have curves and whatnot. So I was a thick, curvy girl. And I think we got to the point where, guys were enjoying that type. And because I chatted and I was confident in myself, I all of a sudden those were negative. It was negative to be confident. It was
Mhm.
negative to chat with people. Like so many people. So I remember making myself very small in rooms, and censoring myself, like my inner monologue being like, don't talk, like don't say anything because
Mhm.
it's gonna make her uncomfortable. Like if you go talk to this guy, she's going to be uncomfortable. She's going to feel insecure. Don't make her insecure. You're being a bad friend by making her insecure. Like I was
Mhm.
taking on all of that. And it took me a long time to kind of realize, like, until I started having some really positive friends who were they that was just who I was. Jen will talk to everyone. Like that's just who she is.
Mhm. That's just who she is.
Or
Yep.
yeah, or it was when my ability to be a conversationist was beneficial to them, right? So I could
Yes.
talk our way into clubs. I could talk our way into parties. I could talk our way into business deals. I got connections to get us into concerts because I made these connections while I was out, and then everybody enjoyed that so much. And that was like later in my 20s, where it became like my superpower, right? They used to call it my
Yes.
superpower. Have Jen talk to them. It'll be great. It'll be fine. Then that's when I kind of got into own, where I was like, okay, this is not a negative thing. Like me just being who I am.
Right. Yeah. Mine was a
And
little. opposite of yours, I think. I struggled more in
Mhm.
high school. I went to a high school where there was a lot of popular kids, a lot of wealthy kids. Not to say that I was poor off, but I just wasn't like them.
Yeah.
Um, I had a friend die my sophomore year of high school, so high school was just
Oh,
really rough and just
yeah.
it was really a struggle just to kind of like figure out who I was, and I felt very
Well, and
trapped.
process all of that emotionally, like at
Yeah,
such a young age.
I felt very trapped. And so when I went to college, it was like the first time I actually felt like I could be myself.
Nice.
And I literally had somebody come up to me who I went to school with from when we were in kindergarten all the way through high school, and we went to the same college. And he came up to me and he's like, "I don't even recognize you. Like you're so like fun and outgoing." I'm like, "This is who I've always been, but I was afraid to be it because I just never fit in anywhere." And I
Yeah.
finally feel like I can be myself because when you're a freshman in college, everybody is doing the same thing.
Yes.
You're learning to be
You're
on
like
your
on the
own.
baseline with everybody. Yeah.
Right. Everybody's in the same spot. You're learning to be on your own. You're living with somebody you've never met before, which when you really think about it, it's kind of wild. Uh,
It's crazy. I know.
you're going to classes, like you're having
And you're like
fun.
18, like out doing
Yeah. And it
it's
was
like,
it was great. Like I got out of an abusive relationship. Like that was like a pivotal turning point for me. And then I really started to make solid friends and I met my husband. Now, granted, we didn't get married till much later, but like he was the first, like, I would say boyfriend. I'm not saying that all my boyfriends are bad, but he was like the first one that I really felt treated me appropriately.
right. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like that was the like all of that was just such a big turning point where I was like, oh, this is what this is supposed to be like. This is what friendships are supposed to look like. This is what relation loving relationships are supposed to look like. Like
This is healthy. Like I'm in my healthy era of
yes.
relationships.
Now
Yeah.
maybe drinking wise I wasn't healthy, but
Mm. Hey, that's we're in our 20s. Yeah.
c'est la
That's
vie.
what it is. Yeah. We had to live life, So
Yeah. Yeah. Good times.
yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, I'm looking back at it now, and I'm so glad we're talking about this because, like, I'm trying my daughter. I'm watching my daughter kind of go through this transition of friendships with
Yes.
her female friends, right? Because she has some younger friends that are quite younger than her, and they kind of look up to her, right? And so that they're like her, they call her mom in the group, right? And so they just look up and are kind of watching her. So she's kind of feeling this pressure to be this role model for them, right? And so
Yeah.
having this conversation with her about that too is like, you're gonna make mistakes. You're human, Jazzy. Like it's not. And if
Yeah.
they, judge it or they're like, I can't believe you did it. That's on them. They're still growing. I was like, but
Yeah.
you can't take on the responsibility to be this perfect person because you are an expression for them.
Right.
You're the way you handle mistakes and the way you handle kind of setbacks is what really sets your character.
Yeah. That's the thing
Is what
that's what always gets me about like social media or just friendships in general. Like if things start to go south, not so good friends will start like poking at your wounds. And it's like,
yeah.
who's perfect? Everybody has skeletons in the closet. So why like we were good friends? You were telling me last week that you love me, and now you're like,
Mm,
I'm gonna tell everybody that you did X, Y, and Z, so no everybody hates
yes.
you. Like, what?
And
What?
and that's what I don't understand too, because I see that as adults as well, and that's why I'm like, it's so
Yeah.
hard as adult women because um, I feel like sometimes as adults we get a little more vulnerable. We have more things to be vulnerable about than we
Yeah.
did when we were younger, right? Not and you find these people that you want to share certain personal um, stories with or personal things that you don't share, like, okay, for example, online, because we're in such a social media thing, and you share personal things with them, and their first reaction when they get upset to you is to use them as a weapon towards you, where I don't understand. What, just walk away. Like, what is it about weaponizing that? Like, okay, we're not friends anymore, it's not working for us, we had an argument that we can't get past or whatever. Just walk away. Like, don't,
Right.
what is, I won't be in your life, you won't be in my life, let's just end it. Like it's not
Right.
working for us anymore. But the need to weaponize things, I just don't understand. Now, don't get
No,
me
I don't
wrong,
either.
because I've been on TikTok, I know what people are going to say, but I've been, if I feel like I need to defend myself out of nowhere, that's a whole different issue, right? If you're coming at because I've done nothing to you, I'm absolutely going to stand up and defend myself and tell you what it is. But I'm never going to spend all my time to tear somebody down just because I was upset at them.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
like I don't understand that, especially as adult women, when women are already the minority in so many incidences.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. Um, but the one thing I have learned over the past, even just the last couple years, even though it does suck if anybody does do it, is nobody has the power to ruin you anyway.
Mhm.
I mean, look around and at stuff that's happening even now. Let's see, who can we use as an example? Let's use Bunny. Y'all know I like Bunny
Mm,
anyway, but let's use Bunny and Joe
yes,
as an example, just because everybody knows who she is. Another good example though would be, what was that makeup guy that keeps
James
getting in
Charles.
trouble? He's another good one.
Yes,
Look how many times people have tried to ruin Bunny or James Charles. They still have 40 million followers.
yes.
Nobody can ruin you unless you let them ruin
Let
you.
them. Yep.
They do not have the power to ruin your life unless you give them the power. And I know that
That's a great
sounds
statement.
outlandish to some people,
No,
and it sounded outlandish to me at the beginning. I was like, yes, they can. They can go out there and say, I don't know,
whatever, like
I
whatever lies
I
they're gonna
tried to
say.
steal their kid. I don't know, something
Right,
crazy.
right,
I'm just
right.
And people are going to believe them. If people are silly enough to believe it, or if they're
Yes,
going to dislike you for one thing, they were never your people to begin with anyway.
yes, yes. Well, and especially with the online community, if people are going to dislike you based on one comment or one, accusation, who never talked to you ever in real life, like why does that matter?
And
You know,
obviously, we're not promoting James Charles because I fully believe that he is not an appropriate human, but we are just using him as an example
as an
that even
example.
though
Yes.
some of the stuff has been proven about him is true, there are still 40 million people that follow
Yes.
him regardless.
Right. And he will find the people, just like you will move on and find your people, you're always going to find the people that are going to gravitate to whatever you're putting out, right?
Yeah.
There
And
is
the more you put out, the more you're going to have
the-
haters.
yes. Yes. And I feel like the more that I'm healing and the more that I'm standing in my truth is when people are getting more uncomfortable, right? Because
Oh,
I'm no
yes.
longer like, the more I'm just like, no, like I don't want that in my life. Like I don't like this ugly behavior. I don't like it. Like I just don't need it. And it's no hate. Like I don't wish ill will on you. I just don't want this kind of energy in my life. So I'm just going to take a step back. Like I'm just going to remove myself and put myself in a place where I'm getting poured into more rather than being taken advantage of or being talked about and things like that. And I've gotten to the point where I can have those conversations. It is,
Yes.
and I am learning that not everyone is on the same, what did you say, level, like the same
Yes.
level of friendship or the same level of healing journey. And I'm having to kind of just let it go, where my
Mhm.
expectation of how you receive it is not like, I got to just throw that out the window and
Yep.
move on.
Absolutely.
So
So, what friendship advice, relationship advice would you give to somebody younger right now, or even just in general?
well, coming from you, but after this, I would say listen to your intuition, which is
Love it.
not a loud voice. That voice is going to carry you. And I would say stand in your truth and be the most authentic version of yourself. And the people that enjoy that will come. Don't seek it out. When you seek out friendships, it's not genuine, it's not organic. Let it happen organically. And if it feels icky, it's probably icky. So just
Hmm.
listen to your intuition, listen to your gut.
There you go. Thank you, Tavia. And actually, I think Tavia said she got it from somebody, so we're just passing the good
But
words here
yeah,
down.
but paying that forward. That's a great. I'm so glad you brought that up because that's a great way to put it.
It is a great way to put it. And something else, another guest. Oh no, was she a guest? I don't know if she was a guest or not. I just remember somebody else telling me this, and I loved it because I love glitter, so it would just work. Was follow your sparkle. So wherever your sparkle takes you, just follow your sparkle.
I love glitter.
I know, me too. That's why when she said it, I was like, I love it.
I love it so much.
I love it. But yeah, I'm with you. Your people will come to you. The more you heal, the more the right people will come to you.
Yes. Yeah, and the more like I'll always, that's like my mantra. The more you stand in your truth, those people that you need to pour into you will be there, and the ones that aren't, we're not the ones that are meant to kind of pour into you, and we're meant to just kind of be there for a season, and that's okay.
Yes. And one final reminder for me, because I needed this reminder, I don't know, about a year ago, is just because you've been friends with somebody for 20, 30, 40 years doesn't mean you have to keep them. Does it hurt? Does it hurt? Absolutely, it does. But
Yes.
it does not mean you have to keep them.
Yes. Yes. Friends out of obligation, that is not a necessary friendship. Like,
yeah. Friends because you've been in it for 20 years, just because you have a time doesn't mean diddly.
No, it doesn't mean diddly. And that is, friendship is a two-way street. Just remember that. Friendship is a two-way street. And if you are not getting what you're putting out, then that's not a great friendship for you.
Absolutely. It's a perfect place to end.
It is.
I love it, Jen. You're so good.
I love this.
And this is how to deal when the shit gets real, guys. We will see you all next episode.